Welcome to the Space in Between podcast, a series where we will talk about everything and anything mental performance in a bite-sized fashion.
My name is Ciana and I am here with Frida as per usual. I'm from Ireland. Frida is from Sweden. We are both mental performance consultants, and on this podcast we share insight and knowledge into all things mindset, exercise, sport, performance, and anything related to sport and exercise psychology. It is our first podcast of February. So what is the topic today?
Our topic of today is going to be about reconnecting with your goals.
It is only February, so I guess something we have to think about is like, why are we talking about reconnecting with your goals? If we think about, the new year is a time that people set a lot of goals.
There's a statistic that shows that 80 to 90% of people, when they get to February, have stopped working towards the goals that they set in the new year. So the reason why we're here today is to talk about how can we reconnect with those goals and keep going strong into February and further.
Yeah. And one of the reasons that people maybe disconnect from their goals is that they set unrealistic goals.
Yeah.
Maybe set out to change too much at once to achieve their goal, and it just becomes too difficult to sustain it long term.
Yeah. Another reason is maybe because we forget why.
Yeah.
We are wanting to work towards these goals. So with those two specific topics, we're going to give you two tools that you can use going forward.
And I mean, the first one is what you just said, is to remember why you maybe originally set that goal.
Yeah.
And why you want to achieve that, and like reconnect with that why. Like, remember, sometimes it can become difficult when, achieving a goal is often all about the actions you take and actually doing the work to get to the goal. That's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
Like, the idea of the goal can be inspiring, but when you're actually in the thick of it, the doing part, it can be easy to be like, it's just like too much, So it's really important to reconnect with, well, why do I actually want to achieve this? And maybe now, if you've had a little bit of difficulty with, sticking to a goal, maybe we can dig a little deeper and think like, okay, what's going to push me when I don't want to do the action? What can I come back to remember, like, why am I actually doing this?
Yeah, exactly. And when we get clear on our why, we also work towards those things that we want to achieve with purpose. And when we have a purpose, we do things with purpose. And it's way more powerful than to just have surface level reasons as to why we're doing something. But if we can, like you said, dig deeper and get closer to, well, why is this important to me? What are all the different things that this will do for me?
Yeah. And like, I think that's really important, is to actually dig deeper, because like, it can be very easy to be surface level with some things. Like, why do I want to get fitter, for example, if that's a goal that I have? It can be easy to say, well, I should be fitter to be healthier and lose weight and life will just be easier. But actually thinking, I want to be able to spend more time playing with my kids. I want to be able to go for that hike with my friends and not feel self-conscious about being out of breath, and actually like getting deeper on that can make it a lot easier to stick with it, rather than maybe a more surface level thought that we maybe say out loud, but we don't actually express what's really pushing us.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a good example, because one of your reasons for starting something can be, I want to get fitter. I want to get fitter. That phrase can mean so many different things, just like what you said. So then finding, well, what are those reasons for you and yourself that are meaningful to you?
And let's say you do find your why. Then we said we're going to share two things. So the second thing then is to break down the goal into actions. I think something important is, sometimes when we're like trying to work towards a goal, there's often 10 things you could do to reach that. And for a lot of people, they might try to go from 0 to 100 really quickly. And that can be the really difficult part.
Yeah.
So what could they do instead?
I mean, a very simple way to look at it, instead of focusing on 5 different things that you could do differently, focus on one thing and get clear on that one thing. And an extra point here is, if there's the least amount of resistance, will make it easier to do that thing.
Yeah. And this is something that like I see a lot in like working with people towards their goals is, for example, if we just, it's such an easy goal, like to get fitter, to use it as an example, but like people might be like, yeah, I should work out, you know, and I'll be like, okay, how many times a week can you work out? I can work out 5 times a week. Yeah, but how many times do you work out now? Okay, 0. So if 5 is what you could do, 1 would be improvement. If you can start with making 1 workout a week a part of your routine, that's improvement. So focusing on the improvement rather than the perfect picture of, I could do 5,
Yeah.
but will I?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things I could do
Mhm.
to work towards my goals, but there's some things I'm probably not ready to do, you know? And
Yeah.
it's important to like recognize that. So to start with the simplest thing.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes back to making it as simple as we can. Because when we are working towards new things, it does get challenging and life gets in the way. I don't even know if I want to say life gets in the way, but life happens. And then we have to actively make the choices to keep doing what we want to do. And that can be difficult.
I think something that's important with this whole topic is like, we said, you know, 80 to 90% of people have failed or stopped working towards their goals.
Yeah.
But just because maybe you stop working towards your goal for like a week or even 2 weeks, like you can easily reconnect with your goal by literally taking 1 action.
100%.
Like, and that doesn't mean that for the next, 48 weeks of the year, you're going to be focusing on your goal and doing things towards it. But like, even if you did something towards your goals like 20 weeks of the year,
Yeah.
you'd probably move closer to that goal.
Yeah.
You know, so like remembering that like you don't actually fail your goal, you either work towards it or you don't work towards it, and that's like up to you.
It makes me think of this running coach, Jeff Cunningham, and a quote that was circulating on social media that I think is a really good quote here. He says, it's better to be consistently good rather than occasionally great. So if we can consistently, let's say, just in theory now, because we talk about working out, 1 session a week for a year, right? That would equal out to 52 sessions in a year compared to I do 5 days there and then I do 5 days in another month and 5 days in the next month.
Yeah.
And, you know, like that's occasionally great. Like doing 5 days and then not doing anything and thinking, well, if I'm not doing all 5, then I'm not going to do it. So being consistently good and stacking those actions day after day after day.
Yeah. Or even every other day.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
because something that we see a lot as well is a part of that all or nothing thinking. And that can be one of the reasons maybe why we drop off in January, because we committed to something and then maybe there's an obstacle and we weren't able to do what we set out to do. So then we think, oh, well, what's the point?
Okay, so if we're to bring all of that together and we wanted to say, okay, here's what to do. Grab a pen and a paper, write down your goal, start with 1. You might have more than 1 goal. Start with 1, write it down, and write down 3 reasons why you want to achieve this, and pushing yourself to think deeply. Like, even if your first thing is like, to live a healthier life. I want to get fitter because I want to live a healthier life. It's like, okay, why? Why do I want to do that? Like, what is that going to bring me? And then after that, we're going to write down 1 action you could take this week to move closer to that goal.
Yeah. And that's as simple as it is.
And remember, you can reconnect with your goal. It just takes 1 action.
And you can reconnect whenever you want.
Yeah, not just because it's the new year and, well, close to the new year.
Yeah. You can always reconnect to it. And that's why we're also asking you to write it down. Because when you write it down, you have it in writing and you can see it. And when we can see it, it's something that we can always come back to and remind ourselves of. Even more of a bonus point. Put it as your wallpaper on your phone. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, just very simple, straight to the point. So reconnect to your goals, figure out your why. And as always, keep using the space in between.